Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Face of Friday Night. Peter Kivazo, your host, and yes, we are running down the week. It is really at that point. A full table. I have David Pukol on my immediate left. Welcome, David.
Good evening, viewers.
And I have Richard Baguma with a receding hairline lately.
You called it a aerodrome last week. Who is the Chief Executive Officer of Civil Aviation Authority?
The last time
that
I
one
checked,
is-
there was an Akandonda.
They have a job here. Good evening, viewers. It's nice to be back.
Yes, and I have Hassan Kaps Fungaro. Welcome, Hassan. Honorable.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother. And also, I salute all of the people watching us now.
And Chaz Romshana.
The Almighty God is great.
Right, and viewers, well, what do we face off on? We're going to the guys that you hire, you pay a salary to do the job of policing in this country. Several interesting things happening this week, if you have followed. The first one comes a discomfort amongst the investigating arms of the police. I'm one of those traditional old school people that believe the police still needed the special branch. I don't have expertise in policing, and therefore I wouldn't raise hell that the special branch was disbanded. But I still had that old school feeling that I think the police, like other polices in other places, needed the special branch. They didn't here. They fused it with the CID, and now they have a CIID. And in that, with the murders we've recently had, came a need, if it is, that the police then split, added on, topped up, established a new one, a special unit to investigate cases. And people felt that there was a discomfort between the CID director, CIID director, and the IGP. The CIID director said the special unit was not reporting to her, it was reporting directly to the IGP. And then in some cases, they said that they had a dual reporting system. The IGP said he was comfortable with both. They were doing a good job, and they were both reporting to him. And he's the chief. I don't want to doubt him. That went down. The same week, the CIID director, after the case on the pension scam, 169 billion, that found its way out when Justice Langa threw out the case, the director of CID came to cry out to us, you and I, common folk, mere mortals, and said, dear God, the reason this case flopped the way it did is because my officers were bribed. There was even an attempt at bribing me. She knows the figure, she knows the guy that was given the money, and she knows the officers that were bribed. And she says they have been moved to other places, or she regards it even as desertion from the force.
That she was approached by a journalist. Did you read that?
Yes, I know. No, she wasn't approached. Her money was given to a journalist. It's a specific $350,000.
And I'm sure
That
that's
was-
not Peter Chivazo, certainly not.
Well, the journalist was subsequently mentioned.
Oh, okay.
And he hasn't been given opportunity to defend himself, so I will not mention who they say he is. But she says this journalist received the said amount, and he was supposed to deliver it to her, and other amounts were distributed among her team, and therefore the case flopped. She says actually the DPP received 2 files, one that she signed and one that was processed through the system without her signature. The IGP has come out to say, indeed, the DPP received 2 files. And to defer the CIID director, he says, actually, the investigators did a meticulous job in spite, and mark my word, meticulous, in spite of the double files. And says they did a super job. Now you have a CIID director that says these guys did a sham, they were bribed, they have deserted. The IGP says these guys were super. And that's where we're at. As we speak now, we do not know the official position. I've seen the official position of the police that says we did super investigations and this file is going to be reopened. But viewers, the debate is not purely about the pension scam, but it is about investigations. The police is the lead investigator for the government of Uganda, for the state in Uganda, in every criminal offense. How many do we lose in circumstances like these? How many do we lose because there was no yellow tape to zone off scene of crime? How many do we lose because people have been bribed and exhibits actually stolen? Have we equipped the CIID good enough to do us a decent super job? A super job, not even a decent job. Have these guys, the Hassan Caps Fungaro, actually ensured that we have a top-notch CID department to do their job? Because we may be crying, Lord, dear God, and we haven't equipped them. Today, in Parliament, the committee on which Hassan Caps Fungaro sits stamped their feet, and my producer will give me that as we roll off.
Enforcing law and order in Uganda is becoming the most difficult thing. You find a small incident between a border and a whole ASP, the ASP is arrested in public. There is another one, they are removing the pips while the cameras are seeing. Now, the moment all the officers who are at a certain rank are treated with disrespect, even when they make mistakes, you totally make the country ungovernable.
It's part of what is bedeviling this country, the micromanaging of institutions, that even the FBI must meet the IGP. The other day he was in a Busoga because a murder had been committed there, and he said, I will camp here. Then another murder in Kampala, then he must camp in Wewaja. Now, Joanna Kagezi, he must be the one to meet the FBI. I think this committee must set standards, Madam Chairperson.
The moment there is a murder in this division, you are there. There is a murder in another division, you are there. You are showing that your commanders in those divisions, they don't know what they're doing. It is a vote of no confidence. For him, he may see it as passion that the country can see that is concerned, but you are not going to be stressed. I'll kill one in Padea, kill another one in Karamoja, kill in Tororo. You make killing becomes our hobby because you will show up at the scene of the crime.
You cannot supervise, and we have to fund a budget for a force that appears to have problems. That would be minimizing and overlooking our functions, Madam.
And the report by the director is that Cairo Bank has no problem, and of course, along the way, even in Nyombi, thank God, is no longer the Attorney General. He was also saying now we can use Cairo Bank as a witness. Can the director, through the minister, tell us what has happened to those policemen that she says that were bribed? And why are they issuing two reports that are conflicting? How do we trust you? Because we have had cases. This is a high-profile case involving 165 billion shilling. If we hear that this is how, because at every stage a case is being investigated, my own feeling is that you are brief.
Madam Chair, I thought that those really would hinge on the Inspector General of Police, because those regard to the internal running and management of the force, that would be privileged to have him to have him answer to such pertinent issues.
It is becoming a culture when we need the IGP here.
Thank you. They do my job, and they make it very easy. Richard, I want to start with you. Tell me, is the police in doublespeak deliberately? Are they confused? Is it internal feud? My guys, my friends at the Observer say it is a tough war. Tough in terrain in which they are playing, territorial war. What are we dealing with, and what is the cost to you and I?
I wouldn't be surprised if now we will have
a general Karikaihora police inquiry on Guresa Kulo. We will have a general Arunda Nyakirima ministerial task force inquiry On the same, you have a parliamentary subcommittee focusing on the same. You have social media attacking. You have the media somehow prepared to all come out at the same time with headlines. I would not be surprised. Because you see, the approach usually is the same. Especially where you have a reasonably diligent senior government official. It starts as a trickle. It gains momentum. The hunting is like that one of a leopard. Very cunning, very careful, very patient. Now, they keep cornering this target. And once that corner is there, the space they have, and this is a wonderful case for that, then the ferocity is that one of jackals. How come that everyone is coming at the same time? You know, choreographed. Now, first of all, I always tell you, Chibazi, 165 billion shillings.
It's obscene.
Does an average you and me, Ugandan, have an idea what we are talking about? 1 billion is how many millions?
1,000.
1,000.
Honorable Caps. 1,000. I mean, you are an honorable, you are very well paid, supposedly.
Yes.
1,000 million.
Yeah.
Now, we are talking about 1,000 millions. That's what we are talking about here. I don't know if
you laid it on the road from Kampala Road,
just
you
trying
would get to
No,
Kawempe.
just trying to draw the zeros on your
And you
screen.
are relating with power putting on Muvumba.
I mean, so the enormity must be understood in that. Then, you see, just ask yourself, how come one institution has 2 files on the same investigation and they are duly received? So who receives them? Is there a problem with the one receiving? First, forget the sender. Now, what is the challenge with the sender? And then one says it's a shorter job. One says it's a super job.
Yes.
This is a job that has been dismissed.
In court.
It is super. It's so super that it has been dismissed. And you say it's dismissed by a technicality. So how super can that be?
For lack of prosecution.
How much more?
That was in court. In court was for lack of prosecution.
But the explanation
The
was that
explanation
it was
of the
technicality.
IGP is technicality.
So how super can that be? Now, you see, and then you look at the attack. It's the character, it's the profile, but it's also the professional standing of this officer. And you see, undermining, this is classic. Chibazo, if the general manager of WBS cannot manage you, Chibazo, if you are reporting directly to the managing director, however low you are as a presenter, no. So you undermine. In Unyankori, we call it that you cut from, somebody goes down. They see somebody crumbling. And some of these officers break some rules. One principal rule of being at work is don't outshine your boss. Please. It's extremely dangerous for you. And two, you see, if and we all look to one patron and the matron in this country.
Do we even
when
look
we
at
are
the
at
matron?
work? Those are the ones we go to. So if this patron comes to my father's funeral and is coming to your father's funeral, what are you talking about?
You see,
Just all for
I mean,
our caps.
For me, these are critical. They might seem
The petty.
petty. They are not. Because for people who have worked with the patron, they read the patron's undertones and they know what is coming. And so you cannot dismiss.
Richard, let me understand you.
Yes.
Are you saying the problem is with the body language of the patron? Are you saying...
Not just the body language, the content.
Are you saying...
You speaking in tongues.
So,
Just mention
the problem is the
David,
patron's
before you have
comment.
an opportunity to speak. Can you allow me to speak the way I understand?
So to you, the problem lies with the patron, as it were.
Absolutely.
Charles's uncle. That is number one. Number two, you are saying that actually this tough war or this territorial war is actually a real war.
It is.
What is the
And
cost
it's been
of that?
running.
What is the cost of
And
that
it's
war to
been
me?
running. The cost of who?
Of that war, the
Is
territorial war.
165 billion plus 29 billion plus another, it will be trillions. It is lives, it is blood, it is loss of your property. That's where they will enter your house when you are sleeping and take away. That is the cost, sir.
Hassan,
Yeah.
you were in Parliament. I saw your committee huffing and puffing. And sometimes I ask, and then what afterwards? Tell me about this, because this is only one of those. You're going to have an investigation in the Prime Minister's office in which Kazinda is in court. You're going to have, and that's about money, but you have some about life. You have people that will be incarcerated in prison for several years. There is one they released recently, and they said, actually, after spending 11 years in court, we found that he was actually guilty of nothing. Then you have several of those. And this is the police that you have trusted to do this job. And they come with a double speak. And then I look to your Committee of Internal Affairs and Defense, where Hassan Kaps Fungaro sits and all the other members, they huff and puff and drum tables. And then what?
First and foremost, we should understand the problem and then the solution, proposed solution, and the errors made in the process of executing the solution. That's the strategy. First, the problem is organized crime. Uganda has been invaded by the problem of organized crime, where you find the criminals are knowledgeable, they are also powerful, they infiltrate all sections of society, including government departments, of course not leaving out the police. This example fits very well the one of the pension scam. Now, organized crime world over has an objective of at most making money using systems which are dirty, which are not permitted by the law. Now, when money comes, it needs to be shared. Probably one divisive factor is how the loot was to be shared. That's number one. Number two, it is true the police force of Uganda is not a unified body today. There is the factionalism in the police.
What measure do you use?
First and foremost,
What is your vernier caliper here?
look at the divisive factor. They say, these are police of the opposition. These are support of government. Yeah, let me give you this.
Let me
some
hear
police
you.
officers have been transferred from the city centers to rural destinations on the account that they support the what? The opposition. Now, even among those who support the government, the police who are said to be for Amama and Babazi, others are from Seven. Kale Kaihura is a soldier. Other people are police, professional police officers. So he also has this group of the people with the military background who originated from the army, and people who may be report directly to the president, like the way he does. They don't follow the chain of command. You see a unit, a system, but the way it operates is different from what you see. Some people occupy offices, but they don't hold the powers. You can see Grace Akulo as an officer in charge, but the people with the real powers are those below her. And they jump. This system is there in Uganda today. And it is the one which most likely gets used in this organized crime. They write reports, they report to different bosses. And for you, who doesn't have the power, but you have the office, you find yourself in a limbo. The other problem we were quarreling about today at the parliament in the meeting was
Parliament quarrels.
you saw people, members of parliament, you see disagreeing among themselves. Some actually side with the Kale Kaihura and with the Minister of Internal Affairs. Therefore, it generated the quarrel among ourselves on what is right and what is wrong. Now, for us, we would like to inform the public that this issue requires a parallel investigation of the public. This is not the only matter which has been entrusted.
That is what Richard is saying, that
Yes.
we are going to end up with an investigation.
You need
by
to do this because there are many other, the people of Uganda, you must have your own measure to investigate. Otherwise, many cases have died without producing a report to Parliament where a report was expected. For example, cases of murder, school fires, market fires, the Kasubi times when fire caught up and burnt historical sites here. All these things, even Parliament putting in place a committee of inquiry, go and inquire, go and do this. Sometimes no report is produced, particularly from the police to Parliament, from the Ministry of Internal Affairs to Parliament. So in this case, looking also at the case of the death of Muslim clerics in town here, iron bar hitmen, people getting shot in broad daylight or at night with pistols, whatever. No investigation has been concluded and report issued to Parliament. Now, for you Ugandans, do you just fold your hands and you sit and watch without answering the mystery? No, you shouldn't. You should have a system to check us, to check the government in place, to investigate and find also something so that you can understand our shortcomings as people in government, including the ones of the police. That's why I call upon you, members of the public, to make a system to investigate what even the police is investigating. That is where you will understand the failures. If you don't do that, you'll always wait and wait all in vain. So, files will disappear, people will be exonerated, like even those who are said to have been bribed. Where are they? They have not been arrested.
No, they aren't. Actually, the police, the official statement of the police, I read Enanga's statement yesterday. He says, these people have not deserted, like Akulo says. They have actually been transferred. One has been assigned to the anti-corruption court officially, and the other one is also on assignment. So this is the double speak I have. I have Enanga speaking officially on behalf of the police, saying these officers are still serving and we know where they are. I have the CIID director, Akulu, saying they have deserted. To desert is a crime. Someone knows where they are. The CID director is short on that intelligence to know. Intelligence this time in terms of information, not in terms of brain matter, to know where they're at. So I'm thinking,
and IGP says there is no problem.
Yes. So I'm thinking, what is the problem here? And you guys were with the minister in Parliament, just very briefly. What is the impression of the minister? What does General Aronda say? That he has a problem or that he doesn't? Does he talk to his IGP? Why didn't he come with him to Parliament?
What he gave us an answer, as an answer was that there is a problem with the communication strategy of government. That Grace Akulo was not the official person to communicate matters of the police. There is a public relations officer of the police in charge of communication and bringing things like the establishment.
Hassan, while I agree with that, that does not substantially do away with the information that she has provided.
That's true.
That she has abused the forum in which she should communicate. Yes, as a director of CIID, possibly she should have had Enanga alongside her, or she should have delegated Enanga to communicate.
That is actually not true.
But
really?
See,
No, just read the guidelines of the
the problem we have right now here is, if we go to that, the position people, like the minister informed us today, that the police now has a political commissar, just like the UPDF has a political commissar. Which means the person speaking will toe a certain line that you speak like this, even if the facts are like here. You go off road.
Is politics equal to lies?
That is what I see they are driving to. But what Grace Akulo made as a statement should be good luck in disguise for the people to know. Otherwise, where else would you have known that there were issues of bribery in this case?
All right, Hassan, thanks. David, you have had opportunity to operate within the corridors of government. The benefit we have with you seated here as a former DG doubly is, I'm drinking from the fountain. It is Chebe that says those that do what? Those that drink from the fountain drink the purity of the water. And I have you, the experience. One, what are the communication chains supposed to be? Two, how much problem do we get into if the IGP and the director CID are speaking at cross purposes?
So Peter, you want me to speak to communication? Of course, at a time when the government has its own media center, very oiled and lubricated, the police have
My
their
brother
own-
Fono Pondo is very visibly an image of that lubrication.
I hear you.
Lately.
I hear you in terms of spokespersons of the police, spokesperson of the army, spokesperson. Every ministry has a spokesperson. But I think the reality Ugandans need to realize, to come to terms with, is that official line, official communication by any government department will give you the official version. And the real truth, many a time, suffers. Even in the US, in the UK, in developed democracies, for example, even generals from Ministry of Defense, okay, MOD in America or in CIA, or there's a way they leak information and the media brings it out, whether, brings it out somehow, something that individuals inside are not comfortable with, and the official channels are blocked and actually want them to toy. Even in Parliament, they take leave of their party line and said, for the good of my constituency and my people, I beg to differ from the official line our party is taking on this. I'm going to the floor of Parliament. I will say this, because what does it benefit our government to lose my constituency? So please, I beg, I take leave, and then the truth comes out. Although the party caucus position is different. So you find those Democrats allowing those individuals to take that, okay, in order to appeal to their constituents. But in the case of this particular case, what I read here is that there's a crime, it has been committed, there's no doubt about it.
Just hold on, David. Viewers, let me take a break, so when I return from the break, David will have a bit more space to delve into this, and then I'll get Charles to give us his opinions as well. Matthias, I see your message. Nanyonjo Sharifa, yes. And Odaka. Igune as well, but I'm not going to get into the messages right away. Let me hear the guys at the table, and then I'll read out your messages.